Alrighty, addicts, welcome back. We're here for more of Danmachi Season 4 with Episode 7. Now, I gotta get it out of the way. I feel like such an idiot, but I have to apologize to everyone. I've been misremembering a crucial point with the Cassandra prophecy thing. I don't know where my head was at. I guess I was completely skipping over some of the details of 13. I think in my mind, volume 12 and volume 13 is kind of merged into one. And so because it's been a while, it's hard for me to separate the details of when it happened because it feels like it just collectively happened at the same time. So I got to apologize for that. But I think for me, I was actually kind of happy that I was misremembering because it let me be surprised at the beginning of the episode, and I thought it elevated it even that much more. I thought they did a really good job bringing the prophecy dream to life. It was something that in the book, I remember reading it and it just having this absolute sense of dread and like an ominous doom approaching, and a somewhat, like what seems like at least a somewhat easy task of just, rescuing Liu away from forces that don't really have a big threat, right? But I think, especially for the show, if you look at like where the show started, the show's always had a little bit lighter tone. I think even when you look at like something like the Pleasure Quarters arc, there's a couple of things in that that maybe are played at a little bit more lightheartedness, or maybe a better example would be the Zeno arc. Once we get to Dix and Icolos Familia, there's a lot of those scenes with them toying with the monsters that goes a little bit step farther in the book than it does in the show. So when I read something like this in the book, I thought it was like, man, this would be a really great scene to highlight that tone shift and get something that really just, throws you off. And I think they did a really good job with the beginning part of the episode with that. And it just kind of, I guess, presented itself in the same way and feeling that I had with the book. And yeah, what can I say? Except I was wrong and I ate my words, but it's okay because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, it's great sometimes to have that happen because it can give you a surprise that, going into it, these episodes, I'm not expecting to see anything new because I've read all of the source material. So whenever I get to forget something that's there, I always got to be like, oh, yes, I love it. This is why it makes sense, because this scene that I forgot about, which there is a couple of those going forward, which we'll talk about. But anyway, I want to move forward with the episode. So after this dream sequence, you also get the, the examination of the murder scene via CSI style, and you get not a whole lot of details that really matter, just enough to propel us going forward. But there was a couple of elements I just wanted to highlight. First off, Turk's model, like the way he's drawn, absolute perfect for giving him the scumbag persona. It just oozes that you can't trust this guy because he just seems like a dick, and then also you get Boars, which is just great that he doesn't even have like a, not necessarily like a what would you call it, like incentive or like a sense of responsibility to find out or to track down the murderer of this fallen adventurer until he hears about how much Galewind is worth to the guild. And then that's what really sets it on, which I think is just great that we see some of those characters like that. Shout out to the adventurers in River. But, obviously with Galewind being accused, Belle's not going to let Liu fall to the wayside and wants to try to help her however way he can, which leads to the party forming a plan to piggyback off of the hunting party to go down to the lower levels, use them as a way to get I guess, leads on where Liu is so that they can splinter off and hopefully get ahead of the hunting party to figure out what's up with Liu and how they can help. And in this scene, Cassandra, I think they execute everything I loved about the use of not only the prophecy, but Cassandra as a character in this scene and in this episode going forward. And yeah, I think they just brought that part of the book to life excellently. And I think every element that I liked about it in the book was brought here really good. I won't spend much more time on it, breaking it down, because, if you want a little bit more deeper, you could watch our discussions of the actual volume. But yeah, I just think they did it really well here. Now, moving on, we do have a small little tease of some other characters and what they're up to with Asif and Loki Familia investigating, or at least looking around the little hideout that Iklos Familia used during the Zeno arc, which was where Dix and Bell had their final showdown at. And this is going to pop back up later this arc, if I recall right, if I'm not misremembering again, because we did get prominent info that it is attached to the evils, which, with the other information that Oka is talking about in this episode, bringing up how Liu was hunting down people responsible for the fall of Astra Familia, I think you can connect the dots there and see that there is some parallels or connections there. But I do love highlighting Asif's relationship with Liu in this, and even calling back to a scene in the Zeno arc, which I thought was great. Now, you also do get a small moment with Hestia back at the manor with Miyachi and Naza coming to visit. And this is a scene that I wasn't really going to touch on, but there was one drop of information that I did want to highlight, because I think it's not really a, what would you call it? It's not really a critique of the show specifically. It's more so a critique of the story of Danmachi, and I guess it's, interchangeable between the book and the anime at this point. But there's a point where Miyachi brings up, I guess it's Hestia that brings it up, but Miyachi confirms that Cassandra does indeed have foresight and confidently states that this is a fact, and so I guess in hindsight, the thing that I guess I was thinking of, at least, is that since this patron god can confirm that this thing is real, and there's somebody else besides Cassandra that can be for lack of a better term, a reliable source, you would think that there would be more people open to this ability being real, especially considering, or I guess I should say just especially in general, with Daphne, right? And maybe it is something that Miyachi keeps secret. I can't remember this specific scene in detail from the book, but it just seems kind of like not necessarily a plot hole, but just a weird decision on why Cassandra has this dynamic when there's, clearly a way to prove that it is real. I think at this point it is seem kind of weird that Daphne would have known all along, and there would be a different reason for brushing off Cassandra in her premonition moments. But I think at the end of the day, it makes the most sense that it would be that. But I think you're muttering the waters too much from, would it undo or kind of come off as cheap with the way that they've written Daphne's scenes with Cassandra before. I don't know, just a small little thing. I guess I could just throw it out there to see if you guys, what your stance on that is. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just felt like that was something, as I was watching the episode, I was thinking a little bit more about it. But needless to say, I still really like the use of it. I think that's just one aspect where it's like, maybe they could have just cut that scene, or at least cut that dialogue that Miyachi said. I don't know. Maybe that would have just It's like, not to get off on a tangent here, but it makes me think of that other series, Another, where the series is great until the very ending, where there's one piece of dialogue that like ruins the whole premise. I won't go off onto that's another topic for another day. Maybe we can go down that way. But anyway, we do get back with the other adventurers in the dungeon. They are on the 21st floor, making their way to the 27th floor. And we get some great information that's going to come up. I think for me, it's just a nice, and for all the other book readers out there too, it's just like, oh man, we're waiting, stop teasing us, let's just see it. But I love that it's here, and we get it still a nice slow burn to it. But we do have, the mentioning that the 27th floor, I believe it's the 27th floor that they said that is the floor that is the boss area for the wrecks of the lower levels. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. I can't say it. But yeah, we have that there, and saying that, Cassandra is wondering if that's part of the calamity, but Lily reassures like, they've already taken it out half a month ago. It's not until another 2 weeks that it's supposed to respawn. And you also have Aisha confirming some of the specs of the wrecks, that it's a level 6 monster classified by the guild, and that's considering the terrain the adventurers have to overcome, as well as the advantages the monster has in its environment. But Aisha, kind of brings it down to a more basic, estimation of that in just raw strength, it's probably a level 5. But I want everybody to let that sink in of those levels, and then given like the party's overall power, right? Excluding Belle or with Belle included, that's, you still got some things in there where it's like, that could be tough, if that comes up. And so, I think with their current status, that sets the stage just enough for the next episode. But we also have a great moment that Welf has, that Cassandra kind of brings up. And I'm really looking forward to Welf's moment here in the next few episodes. I think with them highlighting the other characters and their moments from these parts of the arc, I think Welf's is going to be a real treat to see here at the end of the season. That is, if we aren't splitting some of this material into the next season. But, love Welf, love that, even despite his, I guess, what would you call it? His, like, determination to have Belle only using stuff that Welf's made, that he's still, cares for him enough to throw aside his own reservations or his own, why can't I think of the words? But you know what I'm saying. He's not letting himself get in the way of protecting Belle. So I think that leads him to be, a true Familia member, which Welf has been since the get-go. Come on, man. That's just like the ultimate bro there. But anyway, moving on, there is also a small detail that I love, which is when we get into the 27th floor, there's a wonderful, like, eerie soundtrack that plays in the background. I think it just adds to the overall feel that you have going into this next part. And I don't think it's something that many people probably even give that much thought into or highlight, but I just wanted to shout it out because I think the music, not just like the OP and the ending, but the actual soundtrack that they use for Danmachi has been really great. Not only for the anime, but also for the mobile game as well. I think they just have a tier on that department. But closing this out, I guess I just want to say, that we have the episode ending with the party splitting off, Belle going down with the hunting party to the 27th floor, while the rest of the party stays up. I think it's at the 26th floor, right? It's at least at the peak of the water levels, which Cassandra is able to successfully get them to split, which may be a unforeseeable step in the prophecy that she unbeknownstly took part in. But we'll have to wait and see until the next episode. We do get a crucial moment of Belle getting the Goliath cloth, which was the thing that Cassandra, I guess, asked the favor of Wealth to do in the previous moment. And this is going to be a lifesaver. I won't say much more than that. I guess going forward, guys, man, I'm looking forward to... it's tough. There's a lot of great fights coming up in these episodes. But I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is Wealth at his forge, to say broad here and not spoil anything to you anime only watchers. But besides that, also anything Liu, because Liu really shines in this arc. And I think she really solidifies herself as one of the best characters in the series. This is a perfect time, I think, to plug. If you are interested in picking up any of the manga or the light novel of the series, I think either going into it alongside the next episodes of the season or just after you finish the season, I would definitely recommend the Liu side novel. That's something that I think is really elevates that character and the surrounding characters that she interacts with. And I think it pairs really well with this arc's material. But also, if you want to jump into the series, let's see here. Depending on what this season will end, you could say Volume 13 or just go into Volume 14. Because I doubt they'll get into Volume 14. But who knows? Maybe. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I thought we were going to catch up. We still have one more episode behind, so we'll see if we can get that out on a timely manner. But until then, guys, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.